I've been playing these Genshin Impact challenges for around 3 years. Despite that, there's still a lot of challenges I've either promised in the past, wanted to do, or were recommended by people for a long time that I still haven't gotten around to. Some examples are Kaveh only, at least for a while, Candace, Kaveh, Diona, Kaveh, Mona, Kaveh. People really wanted that Kaveh run. But in all my time doing Genshin challenges, there's one challenge that has been recommended to me by far more than any other challenge. That character is, unsurprisingly, Kokomi. It's only natural that the Genshin Impact Challenge YouTuber named Killer Kokomi will get a bunch of people asking for a Kokomi only run. Outside of that reasoning, Kokomi's history as a unit is really interesting. When she first released, everyone was saying she was an easy skip and that she was terrible. Then people realized how crazy her healing was. And then Dendro came out. Safe to say Kokomi went from undesirable to undeniable. Sadly, Kokomi's kind of been outshone by Furina in a lot of ways. For dedicated full focus healing, Kokomi's still probably better, but Furina's damage output far exceeds Kokomi's. Is this saying Kokomi is useless? God no! Kokomi is still useful and valid member of most teams, but how does she do on her own? Let's find out. Here are the rules. I can only use Kokomi in battle. Any puzzles that require another element can be completed with another character. No co-op for fighting enemies, and all catalysts are allowed. I somehow forgot to mention no healing items in battle. That's also a rule. Just a heads up, the first bit of this challenge was streamed before I decided I would just do it on my own time. Now let's see if you can beat Genshin Impact using only Kokomi. The first thing we need to do is, of course, get Kokomi. Normally it's not that hard to get a character for a challenge run, but Kokomi is an event 5-star. In my only other event 5-star challenge, Zhongli only, I ended up having to pay money to get him, which I'd rather not do for Kokomi. What did I do? I went through about 20 accounts trying to get Kokomi. Did I even get a 5-star in the first 19? You bet not. In the end, I swallowed my pride and spent money. Was it worth it?
Please. Kokomo. Hey, Kirara, what's up? Yes! Yes!
Yep. With the leftover Primo Gems, I pulled for Eye of Perception, which was thankfully on the banner.
First 10 pull. Please tell me if the game or my audio is too loud. That was easy. Okay, cool. Easy Eye of Perception. Stringless, okay. This is probably gonna be a character. It's Fremine! Fremine only? I already did Fremine only. Double 4-star, cool. Triple 4-star, okay. Yeah, that's what I expected. Oh, hey, look, it's Kokomi's girlfriend.
Would have loved to get more than one, but I'm happy to just have it. First thing we need to do is go through the 3 domains in Mondstadt Act 1. We can skip both Amber's and Lisa's domains using some clever platforming, and Kaya's domain has easily taken down enemies. With Act 1 done, we need to reach AR10 to start Mondstadt Act 2. Here's where I usually cover the pros and cons of the character I'm using, so let's start with the pros. She's unkillable. I don't think it's a secret that Kokomi has crazy healing with pretty much every part of her kit, and that's amplified when she's the only character on field at all times. It's also really nice that basically her entire kit scales off of HP and healing bonus, so she's quite easy to make effective for this challenge because we don't have to focus on keeping our crit rate up for obvious reasons. Her burst also is pretty lenient with its energy cost, and her elemental skill generates decent particles. What about the cons though? She has a negative 100 crit rate debuff, which is probably the most infamous part of her kit. It's honestly no big deal as it allows us to focus solely on her HP and healing bonus, but it would be nice if we could crit. Sadly, I think Hydra might be one of the worst elements for a solo challenge. Stuff like Abyss Mages, Abyss Heralds, and the stupid amount of Hydro Slimes means we need to lean on Eye of Perception. Her also being an Inazuma character means she's stuck at level 20 until at least AR 30, which is about half the playthrough. Even worse, Kokomi's boss is the Hydro Hypostasis, which is probably my least fought Hypostasis in the game. I decided for every Hypostasis revival phase, no matter the character, I'm allowed to use another character to get rid of the revival mechanisms. The only exception is the Pyro Hypostasis because its Pyro Shield is on it from the start, and attacking the Hypostasis directly would be like using another character for an Abyss Mage. It's just not fair and it doesn't make sense. That's all the pros and cons, and a lot of the cons are just temporary problems, like being level 20 and needing Eye of Perception, so I'm excited to see how she does. After some basic Mondstadt exploration, including collecting Animoculi, opening waypoints, doing adventure handbook goals, and for some reason worshipping Zhangling, we reach AR10 in no time and get a 10 pull on standard banner.
Guys, watch! We're gonna get Skyward Atlas or something. Chevres.
Chevres, captain of Fontaine's special security.
Cool.
Although I reached AR10, I kept grinding, including more adventure handbook goals and going to Liyue. After completing Zhengling's story quest, because of course I did, I ended the stream and picked up Mondstadt next stream. Next stream we start Act 2, which starts with us meeting Green.
Green.
Who takes us to Windrise to fight an Eye of the Storm. Normally this fight is a little annoying because when it flies up, I usually can't damage them, but Kokomi can attack them even when they fly up, leading to an easy fight. We steal the Holy Lyre, this won't be our first case of blasphemy, and then we meet SD Lucard. He takes us to the Fatui hideout, and you know, they aren't great, but I don't think they'd ever betray us. The agent at the end of the domain was able to get out his barrage move, but thankfully it didn't get hit at all. Now we need to get 2 teardrop crystals to summon Dvalin. First we fight a Ruin Guard, and because of Kokomi only attacking with Hydro, it was easy. Next we open a random chest, and last is the domain, only having a bunch of easy slimes and a Pyro Abyss Mage, whose shield we destroyed. Now time to summon the Mondstadt Dragon. I swear, if anyone tries to call me Inazuma's Dragon, I will lose it. That's the end of Act 2, and now we need to reach AR18 to start Act 3. I did a bit more exploration, including unlocking commissions, before ending stream way early. The rest of this challenge is non-streamed, so let's get to it. After some commissions and easy animoculi collecting, which now gives adventure experience by the way, we're at AR18 and we can start Act 3. This quest starts with the first of many Hydro Abyss mages we're going to have to fight in this challenge. Thankfully for this one, it's near some cryo flowers that we can use to freeze them repeatedly, leading to an easy fight. Inside of Stormterror's lair, we need to trigger 3 light actuators to fight Dvalin, one of which having us fight a Pyro Abyss Mage, which was obviously easy. Last is Dvalin.
But first, let me be clear.
Kokomi, despite still being level 20, just barely one-phased Dvalin. Color me very impressed. Whatever that saying means. That's the end of Mondstadt. Now we need to reach AR23 to start Liyue. This grind can be kinda difficult, but thankfully we still have some experience grinding options. We did some commissions, some domains for Shrine of Depths keys, and Liyue exploration. I also did Cecilia Garden because I thought I would need to complete it for Eye of Perception drops, but no, I need to go to Trial Grounds of Thunder for that. Despite reaching AR23 pretty quickly, I'm gonna keep grinding so I can just steamroll through Liyue's Archon quests. I went to the Virgin Jade Chamber, collected Geoculi, opened waypoints, and a lot of chests. And once we reach AR25, we need to do the Ascension domain. We should normally be level 50 for this. Kokomi's still level 20. She didn't do it really fast, but she also didn't do it as slow as I thought she would. With that done, I can ascend Eye of Perception and look at the Kokomi that I still can't ascend, and get back to AR grinding. It's also worth mentioning that I had my first combat death of the playthrough. Frankly, I don't know what I was thinking. A bit more Liyue exploration later, I feel like it's time to do some story quests. We start with Amber's story quest, then Kaya's, then Diluc's, and Razor's. We're now AR27, and I think it's a good time to start Liyue. At the Rite of Ascension, Rex Lapis dies and Child tells us to inform the Adepti of his death. See? The Fatui would never betray Kokomi personally. First is Mountain Shaper, who gives us a buff that increases our energy recharge, which essentially increases our normal attack multipliers permanently for this fight. For Mountain Shaper, we have Sayu help us out to break the rocks. This reminds me of Inazuma Act 3. For Cloud Retainer, we make some food for her before jumping off a tree to skip her domain. Last is the Lemon Man. Here we fight a Ruin Hunter, which is easy for the same reason as the Ruin Guard. Side note, how does my level 20 Kokomi have almost the same amount of HP as my level 50 Fischl in her challenge? Next is Act 2, which starts with us meeting Zhongli, who takes us to Mondstadt to boil some rocks. Weird delicacy. The hilichurls that we fight while over there are unremarkable, and to heat the pot we use Amber. Spoilers, this won't be the last we see of Amber. Later we go inside Madame Ping's teapot to get the cleansing bell, and while there we fight a bunch of slimes. The Hydro and Cryo slimes weren't as bad as they could have been because there were exploding pyro flowers. Really the most annoying fight in this domain would have been the Geo Slime, but thankfully we could just lead it off the platform. At the Guizhong Ballista we fix it using some useful parts, but then we get ambushed by some treasure hoarders while doing that. Kinda like the Ascension domain, not a slow fight, but not very fast by any means. Her level is catching up with her in terms of power, but thankfully we're still very unkillable. We go on a date with Zhongli and that's where Act 2 ends, and the AR grinding worked because we can automatically start Act 3. By the way, I'm hoarding wishes. Why? I don't know, I just don't have a use for them. We activate the windmill mechanism with Sayu before going to the Guizhong Ballista again, this time to fight law enforcement, because why not? This is how wars get started. Later we sing to some flowers for Zhongli, which causes 3 cryo whopper flowers to appear. Something I neglected to mention until now is that deploying Kokomi's elemental skill applies herself with Hydro, which can be slightly annoying with cryo enemies, but not as bad as Barbara's Hydro application on herself. Next is Child, and this is probably the first time the Child fight has been interesting during a Genshin challenge. We can only attack with Hydro, which is bad because he has a 50% Hydro resistance stat in Phase 1 and 70% in Phase 3.
What the hell was that? What was he doing up there?
We do very little damage to him in Phase 3, and he got quite a bit of hits on us, applying us with Riptide and giving us an actually interesting fight for once. We also surprisingly could tank a Narwhal hit, but it did a lot. Once he's defeated, we need to fight Osile. Sorry, fellow fish. Yes, eels are fish, but you gotta die. That's where Liyue ends.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up Is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
Now we need to complete both Dainslift quest and reach Air 30 to start Inazuma. The Dainslift world quest is honestly pretty bad for us. We need to fight 3 Hydro Abyss mages during this quest, and while we could cheese 2 of them using an Electro Crystal, the 2 Mitatrolls paired with the 3rd Abyss mage was really annoying, and for the first Hydro Abyss mage we just had to grit our teeth and deal with it, leading to a 10-minute fight of just this. But if you think that's bad, oh boy, We Will Be Reunited is terrible. Before getting into that, I need Stardust, so I finally spent my wishes.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Rain Slasher and Kuching. Fuck you, Kuching, I hate you.
I can ascend Eye of Perception now, but was it worth it? We start out by dealing with a bunch of Cryo Abyss mages, which sure are annoying, but none of that compares to the worst fight I have ever had in Genshin Impact. You might be wondering who that enemy was that gave us such a hard time. Well, that enemy is, of course, the Hydro Abyss Herald. Cutting out all the time I spent in the pause menu, this fight took over an hour. I want you to think about fighting something for over an hour, doing the same thing over and over and over again, slowly watching the HP bar go down literal pixel by pixel, and occasionally healing. This fight is worse than Xingqiu versus the Oceanid. How is that possible?
That took so long.
Thank God the one at the end of the quest doesn't get a shield anymore, or else I would have probably deleted my channel. With that finally done, we can do the Inazuma Prologue quest. Sure, there's a Hydro Slime in this quest, but compared to what I just went through, the best way I can describe it is
Hydrogen Frog versus Coughing Baby!
now we can finally go to Inazuma. My number one priority right now is to rush out of Rito and get to Watatsumi Island ASAP, and the only thing standing between us and a level 40 Kokomi is the transport mission, which has us fighting some treasure hoarders in Ronin. We slowly trudge through it, and now we have all of Inazuma at our disposal. And naturally, after opening the necessary teleport waypoints for when we do the Archon quest, we go to Watatsumi and get those Sengo Pearls. Now our Kokomi is finally level 40, and you probably think this means everything will be okay now, right? Well, no, because we still have to fight the Hydro Hypostasis. The Hydro Hypostasis has 2 big issues. 1, it's immune to Hydro. 2, it summons a thing that can heal it. So what I do is I either collect the healing orbs that the thing shoots out, or I push it so its orbs can't reach He, which is what I'm going to call the Hydro Hypostasis from here on out. It takes around 12 to 15 minutes to beat He, and reminder, we need a total of 26 boss drops from this guy, meaning if we get 2 every time, which we don't, we need to fight He 13 times. Multiply the average of 12 and 15, which is 13.5, by 13, we get 175.5, meaning I'll be spending about 3 hours on this challenge just fighting this boss. After fighting He 4 times, we finally have enough drops to get Kokomi to level 60. Now all is finally right in the world, and we can continue the Archon quest. Ayaka tells us about the Vision Hunt Decree, which we obviously know about, like, come on Ayaka. And we go to break somebody out of jail while fighting the Tenryou Commission. all in a day's work for the Resistance. Before, a fight like this would probably take about a minute, but now, less than 20 seconds. We meet our girlfriend, and now Act 1 is over. With Act 1 done, we need to complete Ayaka's and Yoimiya's story quest to start Act 2. None of them are interesting, so let's just start Act 2 where we fight the Raiden Shogun. Told you we were going to commit more acts of blasphemy. Just letting her hit us makes this fight end quickly, and we go to Nezuchi Beach afterwards to save the Virgin from 2 Tenryou Commission soldiers. Look at Kokomi starting the fight with red HP and quickly getting her HP back while beating the soldiers in like 10 seconds. Holy shit. At the Resistance camp, we meet our good doggy and try to do some archery demonstration. I got really lucky on my first try, but that's about as far as it went. I decided to use our girlfriend, Kujosara obviously, to shoot the higher up ones while using Kokomi for the lower ones. Still took longer than it should have because Raiden has a vendetta against us, but oh well. At the front lines, we meet our girlfriend again and beat up some Tenryou Commission soldiers. After that, we meet Kokomi! Finally! Act 3 starts with us clearing out some Ronin bordering Watatsumi Island. Sure, the big boy Ronin dealt a bit more damage than I would have liked, but it was still easy. At Fort Mume, our girlfriend triggers the 3 Electro Monuments, which causes an Electro Lawatrol to appear, which we quickly zapped away thanks to its Electro infusion. We go back to Watatsumi Island and we learn that the Fatui betrayed us. Why did I trust them? Even the Virgin dies as a result of their actions. Alright, time to kill him. The Delusion Factory was surprisingly easy. Sure, the Electro Hammer guy is the bane of my goddamn existence, but everything else was easy. We meet Scaramouche, we pass out from cringe, and then we meet Yaimiko. She takes us to do some anti-Raiden Shogun training, but who cares about that when we're about to meet... It's Sayu! Next, we stormed the Tenryou Commission headquarters with our girlfriend. It was easy, even if I wanted the final wave to go faster than it did. Next is La Senora, and unlike Child, this fight wasn't interesting. It was a pretty normal and pretty easy fight. Last is the second Raiden fight, and how much damage does Kokomi do with the buffs in this fight? The answer is a little bit over 4k, which is pretty good given that we can't crit. Better than someone. That's the end of Inazuma. Now we need to reach Air 35 and complete the Danes of Chasm quest, but before either of those we need to fight He some more. We need 8 boss drops to ascend to level 70, so I had to fight them 5 times. It would have been 4 if I didn't forget to bring Amber on the 4th one. The level of idiocy I felt at that moment was immeasurable. I also finally worked on Kokomi's talents, getting them to 334. Now time for the Chasm Danes of quest, which starts with a bunch of Black Serpent Knights, which are tanky but not too bad, and then... No! This was just as bad, if not worse, than the first one. I literally have nothing else to say that I haven't already said. It's just horrible. Thankfully after that, every other Abyss enemy is a lot easier to deal with. After getting materials to ascend Eye of Perception, it's time to start Sumeru. Act 1 starts with us clearing out a Withering Zone with Tainari, which has us fight a bunch of Hydro fungi which may resist Hydro, but it was still easy. In the Dream Domain, we fight some easy Hilichurls, and we also get a vision of the guy who gave my soldiers delusions. If I ever get my hands on him, I swear I'm gonna... Outside of those 2 things, nothing is that bad. This is what hell looks like. At Sumeru City, we get our Akasha terminal before going to Port Ormos to meet Alhaitham, who has us buy some knowledge capsules from Dory. We test one of them on some fungi who were unfairly easy, and at the docks we have to fight our first of many Eremite fights. It's disappointing how from Act 1 to Act 4, you only fight fungi and Eremites with only 2 Hilichurl fights and 1 Rifthound fight to break up the monotony. Speaking of which, the only combat bit in Act 2 is against an easy group of Eremites. So let's move on to Act 3, which starts with us meeting
The Doctor.
before fighting some more Eremites outside of Gandharvaville. Again, easy. In the desert, we fight a few Rifthounds, and we flex on their weak corrosion with our goated healing. You'll never guess what Act 4 starts with. The correct answer is B, Eremites. Later at the Elazar Hospital, we fight some Hilichurls and a Geolawatrol, the latter of which being surprisingly easily taken down. Now we need to trigger 3 Dendro monuments, and we do so by grabbing a Dendrogranum, teleporting back, and quickly running to the monuments. Last is the King Deshret domain, where we could skip a lot of the fungi and quickly take down the ones we did need to fight. Act 5 starts with Eremites. Can you believe it? Later on at Party's DI, we take on some Fatui soldiers, and the only annoying one was the Electro Hammer guy in the second wave, because of course he was. A lot of plot later, we go inside the Dias Foundry to fight more Fatui soldiers. The Geostaff guy and, who else, the Electro Hammer guy fight was annoying, but outside of that, this domain is fine. Now we can finally get our hands on Scaramouche. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking beat it. We destroy him in phase 3, but sadly Hydro does nothing against the Nirvana engines, but we can sacrifice Nahida to the Setsuna Shometsu. Last is the Polluted Domain, which has some Rift Hounds, Hilichurls, and an Electro Lowatril. The Big Geo Rift Hound was annoyingly tanky, but everything else was swiftly taken down. That's where Act 5 ends. What if I were to flex and get Columbina right after completing Sumeru?
You can call me Columbina, or Kutar, or Moon Goddess.
To everyone who wished for her and didn't get her,
Having many names.
I'm not sorry. Now we need to reach AR40 and complete Kari Barrett, but once again, we need to fight He before that happens. This will be the last time I need to fight a tanky Hydro immune enemy for this challenge, thankfully, but that doesn't make these fights any less painful. Kari Barrett is the first Danes of Quest that actually gives us a break. There are some annoying Hydro slimes, sure, but the big fight is a Cryo Herald, which was much more manageable than the Hydro Herald. Also, in the middle of this quest I reach AR40, but I didn't have enough Sango Pearls to ascend, and since you can't leave the quest area, I had to play the rest of the quest with an underleveled Kokomi, which was kinda funny. Once we're done with that, we can ascend Kokomi, and now it's time to start Fontaine. We meet Linny and Lynette at Romaritime Harbor, who has us collect Romaritime flowers for them, and Kokomi is perfect for this. We also meet Furina while there, who's a fellow Hydro healer. At the court of Fontaine, we meet Fremine and meet Child again, who takes the only fight in Act 1. The only other part of Act 1 worth mentioning is that we meet another Hydro Catalyst user who can heal himself. You guys tell me if you want Nouvellette only, because I'd be so down. Act 2 involves us investigating with Navia for a while before entering an underwater domain where we fight some clockwork mecha. Our burst is genuinely so good, I love it. It makes enemies' HP bars just evaporate. Acts 3 and 4 have no combat, so let's move on to Act 5, but before doing that, why do we think Kokomi got in jail? It's probably Raiden's fault. Act 5 starts with the Tower Domain, which features a few rogues and Mitatrolls, but none of these fights matter when there's this room. 2 rogues and a Ruin Guard. Thankfully, it was so much easier than normal because of Kokomi's inability to die. And later we put Furina on trial and bing bang boom, we're fighting 2 Hydro Gardemex. They got a lot of hits on me for some reason, but it doesn't matter because we could heal the damage away. Lastly is the All-Devouring Narwhal. Thank God we only need to get past the Shadow phase because look at how little damage we do against the Narwhal. That's the end of Fontaine. All we need to do to start Notlan is complete the Archon Quest Bedtime Story, which is honestly pretty easy. There are 2 Cryo Abyss Mages and a Cryo Herald that are kinda annoying, but I'm not gonna complain when I don't want to fight any Hydro enemies. Now time for Notlan. We meet Kachina, who takes us to the Stadium of the Sacred Flame where we meet Kanich and Mualani, the latter being a fellow Hydro Catalyst character, just like Nouvellette. And we also watch the Night Warden Wars, which Kachina ends up winning. Afterwards, Mualani takes us to the People of the Springs where we chill out for a while before the tribe gets attacked by the Abyss. This part of the quest has us take down an Abyssal Pylon, and if you've watched my Kave and Fischl only challenges, you know how annoying these things are to take down without a Notlan character. Thankfully, since Kokomi only attacks elementally, she actually makes quick work of them. Next is Act 2, which starts with us realizing that Kachina has
Fallen into the river in Lego City.
and we meet the captain. While trying to find Kachina's ancient name, we fight some Abyssal Saurians and a Pyro Abyss Mage. Abyssal Saurians can sometimes be a little annoying, but they weren't that bad in this fight. In the domain to enter the Night Kingdom, we fight a few enemies, including a Geo Lowatril that actually almost killed me. Thankfully they didn't, so I didn't have to restart the fight. In the Night Kingdom, we fight a few more Abyssal Saurians and Rift Hounds, and soon after rescuing Kachina, Act 2 is over. Act 3 time. We meet Zelonin and Silali, the latter of which taking us to rescue Auroron from a Fatui camp. Normally this fight is absolutely horrible, but while I did get down to low HP a few times, I didn't die and got through it first try. Later in the quest, we take down another Abyssal Pylon with some trial characters. Kokomi could have done it, guys. Next is Act 4, which starts with more Fatui soldiers. This fight against the Cryo Gun Guy, Anima Boxer, and Agent was pretty easy, and the only thing that made it annoying was my ping. It's now time for the war part of Notlan. Something I like about this part of the quest is that you get to choose which battles you want to take part in based on how well you think your team will do, and pairing that with the fact Kokomi is so much better at dealing with the Abyssal Pylons than other characters I've used, this part of the quest was pleasantly easy, and we managed to repel Kazoithoth for now. Next is the Interlude quest, and once that's done, it's time for Act 5. After a lot of preparation, we're ready to go fight Kazoithoth. That is after defeating some pretty easy Void Ward enemies in the Night Kingdom. God, Kokomi, you're so good. Now time for Kazoithoth, who we sadly can only use Pyro Traveler and Mawika against. By the way, It was almost 4 a.m. when I was recording this, which I think contributed to me thinking this line was the funniest thing ever.
Traveler, our blessings one more time.
Yeah! What the f- What is this delivery?
Yeah! Woo!
It just all sounds like one guy. I'm in tears, oh my. That's the end of Nodline Act 5, and because I don't want to go through 8 Nodcry Archon quests that probably barely have any combat, that's where this challenge ends, and at least for a while, all future challenges will end. I think it's a good place to end these Genshin challenges. Argue with the wall. That means we beat Genshin Impact using only Kokomi. Kokomi blew me away. I did not expect her to do as well as she did. I mean, I knew her healing would be amazing, but I didn't know her damage would be as high as it got. I'm pleasantly surprised with how well she did, but god, the Hydro Abyss enemies and the Hydro Hypostasis really drag her average down, sadly. On the tier list of difficulty, Kokomi goes in the middle of on the easy side, and on the solo tier list at the top of A tier. She had amazing healing, but those Hydro enemies were terrible for her. My next challenge will be my very first non-Genshin challenge, collecting every item in Minecraft as they release. Basically, I'll be going through most versions of the game to collect the items as they're added to the game. That challenge was a lot of fun to play, and I hope you guys watch it. As for the next Genshin challenge, that'll be Razor only. But until then, I'll leave you with that.